Good morning. We are on Lamed Vav Beis. Unfortunately, this is likely going to be the last time I'll be posting in Eretz Yisrael for a little while. Okay, so I just want to review a little bit what we finished with last week. A little bit, just to be a little bit more clear. So again, we had a Mishnah. Mishnah told us a bunch of cases. We're going to focus on two of them. One of them was a case where a person put an Eruv to the east, person put an Eruv to the west, and he said, whichever side my Rebbe comes, that's the side that my Eruv is going to be effective. So if the Rebbe comes from the east, then he could go to the east. If the Rebbe came to the west, he could go to the west. Good. Then he gave another case. Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah gave another case, which was that in a situation where if two Rebbeim come, then the person's allowed to choose which one he wants to go to, right? So if a Rebbe comes to the east and a Rebbe comes to the west, he could say, well, I like the Rebbe coming from the east. Fine. Ayo had a different version of our Mishnah. Ayo had taught a brisa which had Rabbi Yehuda saying something a little bit different. Rabbi Yehuda agreed that in the first case, when I say put on the east, put on the west, and the Rebbe comes to the east, I go to the east. If he comes to the west, I go to the west. But in the situation where he says, where Rebbe comes from both sides, then he cannot go ahead and say, well, I'm going to go to the east. The Gemara said, what's the difference between the first case and the second case? Both cases are using the principle called brera. What is brera? Brera, as we talked about yesterday, is retroactivity. Okay, so basically what that means is that when Shabbos begins, we don't know which one is going to be the effective Eruv. Remember, as we spoke about yesterday, you can only have one Eruv. You can't have two Eruvins coming because it's about residence. Most people, right, at least in the ancient world, do not have more than one home. So the notion of what, you're going to have two homes, that doesn't make any sense. It's interesting how to conceptualize that nowadays. But anyway, that's another point. But the point is that that it's not possible to have more than one home. Okay, so the bottom line is that therefore, the Gemara says the reason that in Ayo's version of Rabbi Yehuda, meaning the brisa, they quoted Rabbi Yehuda says the retroactivity doesn't work. So the Gemara says, so why in the first case, does Rabbi Yehuda say it's okay? When the case where a person says, if he comes to the east, I'm going to go to the east. If he comes to the west, he comes to the west. There he says it's okay, because it says there wasn't brera, wasn't retroactive. Really, the Rebbe already started coming when before Shabbos began, and just the person did not know. So it's not retroactive. It's just that information was, now we know which one was the one that started when Shabbos began. But to do it retroactively, to be in a situation where we don't know when Shabbos begins, which not that you just don't know, but there actually is no possible way of knowing. There is nothing. There is the Eruv. Right now there is the rabbi has not left yet. So we don't know if he's going to come from the east or from the west. There's absolutely it's not a matter of a lack of knowledge, and it was already taking place. It was already effective. Really, nothing becomes effective until later on Shabbos, and that's retroactivity. And Rabbi Yehuda does not accept the concept of retroactivity when it comes to these types of principles. So the Gemara says, Adar b'leis la'ayim masnisan. We have a Mishnah, we have a brisa. In the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda holds a brera. In the brisa, he doesn't. So why are you picking the brisa over a Mishnah? What's going on over here? So no, we're not going to pick our Mishnah over Ayo's brisa. Why? Because we learned from another source that Rabbi Yehuda rejects the validity of brera. Brera plays a role in many different cases, and let's see one of them. It was taught in a Mishnah. A person buys wine from kusim. Kusim are people that we do not know. That if they separate truma or not, and we assume they do not separate truma, and you want to drink the wine. So Omer, you could say, Shnei lugin shani asa lahafresh, 2 lugin which I'm going to separate in the future from these 100 lugin. Harahin truma will go to truma. Asar ma'aser rishon, 10 which I'm going to later separate are going to be ma'aser rishon. Tisha ma'aser sheni, 9 lugin are designated ma'aser sheni. Umeichel, and then he should redeem the ma'aser sheni immediately. Fine. V'shos miyad, he's allowed to drink immediately, and he has to leave at the bottom of the barrel enough of these lugin that he's then going to go ahead and give to the Kohen, give to the Levi, etc., etc. Okay, Div Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says that's all okay. Why is it okay? What's going on over here? The person's saying things that I'm going to separate. Right now I can't separate. It's one barrel, so I have no way of separating. If it was food items, okay, I'll just take some out, whatever. But it's a barrel. So how do I separate it? I don't separate. What I do is I say 2 things which I'm going to later go ahead and separate. Are going to be okay, and when I get to the bottom of the bottle, they're there. So retroactively, the food that I ate was actually food that the trumos and meisers were taken from. That's retroactivity when it comes to halachic, creating halachic realities. Rameir says that's fine. However, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, Osir, and Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Shimon, they actually prohibit it. So you see, Rabbi Yehuda does not hold of the principle of brera. So Ula Amar Leisel Ayamas Nisan. Fine. And therefore, the Gemara explains why why Rav said we use the brisa over the Mishnah because this Mishnah over here that we just quoted supports the fact that Rabbi Yehuda does not hold a brera, and therefore we have to go with that version over the version of our Mishnah. Ula disagrees. Ula Amar Leis La'emes Nisan. Really, Aya's version is not correct, as we see in our Mishnah. So Aya was wrong. So Ve'ela Hadiktani, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, Osrin. We just saw brisa. Well, we just saw Mishnah. Excuse me. Rabbi Yehuda clearly says he doesn't allow this whole wine thing because he doesn't hold a brera. So Ula Zuze Zuzik Tani. Ula had a slightly different version of that statement, and it said like this: Diver Meir v'Rabbi Yehuda. The first opinion, which accepted brera, actually was Rameir and Rabbi Yehuda, and then it was Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, Osrin, and Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, and not Rabbi Yehuda. They're the ones who prove it. But the bottom line is, according to that version, which Ula has, Rabbi Yehuda actually holds a brera. Okay, so now that we've established there's no contradiction in Rabbi Yehuda, either Rabbi Yehuda does hold brera based on one version of Ula, or he doesn't hold a brera based on Rav. Okay, but now we asked another question, because Rav Yossi in that Tosefta, which we just read above, clearly showed that Rav Yossi does not hold a brera. As the Gemara is going to question that, so Rav Yossi in brera, Rav Yehuda really doesn't hold a brera. It's not a ton in the Mishnah. Rav Yossi Omer regarding the pigeons that are sacrificed by a woman who gave birth, or she became tar after becoming a zava. So she has to bring two types of pigeons, one for an ola, one for a chatas. And what they do is they purchase like a nest with two birds, and they bring it to the Kohen. So Rav Yossi Omer Shtei Nashim Shalakhu Eskeneim Be'erev, two women who are bringing pigeons purchase their nest jointly. Okay, so two women go ahead and purchase two nests together. It was like a 2-for-1 deal. Great, they split it, and they now bring their two nests each. They didn't designate this is for me, this is for you. We bought it together, right? Sometimes you buy something together. Who gets which? We didn't do that yet. And then we give the two nests with 4 birds in total to the Kohen. Okay. Okay, or they just simply give 2 nests to the Kohen without designating. They gave money to the Kohen to buy the nest, which is another way of doing this, but without specifying like whose money is whose. They just pile the money together. The Kohen's allowed to go ahead and designate this one for Ola and a Chatas for this woman, this one for Ola and a Chatas for this woman. But the point is that when it comes to bringing the carbon, it has to be done specifically for that person with intention for that person. If it's not, then it's not a good carbon. So clearly, the idea is that the brera is a play over here. Kohen goes ahead, he's bringing the karbanos, and retroactively we say, oh, this one was a karban chatas and an ola for this woman, this one was a chatas and ola for this woman, and that is clearly using the principle of brera. And therefore, on the one hand, Rav Yossi in the Tosefta, which spoke about the wine, there he did hold of brera. He did not hold a brera, and here by the karbanos, by the birds, he's holding a brera. So Rabba says no question. Hasam kishehisnu, when the women bought it, they actually stipulated the Kohen is empowered to make the choice for us. It's not that it worked retroactively. Meaning, in other words, the Mishnah initially assumed the Kohen was given a nest of birds, and he brought them without designating, and then retroactively we say, oh, well, he brought 4 karbanos on behalf of 2 people, so one's going to be a chatas, one's going to be an ola, this one's going to be a chatas and ola for this one, this one's going to be a chatas and ola for this person. Great. And how does that take place? Brera, because brera retroactively says this one was for this one was designated for that one. Gemara says no. There's actually Rabbi says there's a missing detail. The missing detail is they actually said, Mr. Kohen, you are empowered to choose which one. Okay, so now it's no brera. The Kohen went ahead and said, oh, this is from Mrs. A and this is from Mrs. B. Done. The Gemara says, well, that's incredibly obvious, right? If the Kohen was empowered to do this, what's the chiddush? What's the novelty? It's teaching us the teaching of Rav Chisda, which is the Rav Chisda ein hakinim esparshos. That's a person that when it comes to designation of which one's for an ola, which one's for a chatas, it could be done through the owner, okay, or it could be done through the Kohen. And basically, what it's teaching us is that as long as the owners did not designate otherwise, which is our case because they just gave it to the Kohen's allowed to actually go ahead and say, this one's going to be the ola, this one's going to be the chatas, this one's going to be the ola, this one's going to be the chatas. Even if let's say, just to show how far this goes, I guess you could say, and that is that there's 2 nests over here. You'd assume that in each nest there's going to be an ola and a chatas, and the other nest going to be an ola and a chatas because that's each person's offerings. But no, the Kohen really has full choice. The Kohen can say, in this nest they're both ola, in this nest they're both chatas, and he has the prerogative to do so. And that's the point that the Mishnah is making, that the Kohen, when designated, granted, but when designated, is allowed to make the choice, and he could, as long as the owner did not make a choice otherwise. Have a great day.